Welcome to Beyond Death, where we examine near-death experiences from people that say they have died, visited the other side, and returned. Before we begin, I want to give a quick shout-out to the channel's newest supporter, Wilbert Hull. Thank you so much for that super thanks. Today's NDE is from a woman who states that the universe revealed something to her that involves all of us. I am sure not everyone will agree with this one. And if you don't agree, that's fine. I just ask that you not be rude. There are countless other videos on the subject you may like better. Some are even on this channel. Let's get into it. My experience occurred 3 months after my mother committed suicide due to mental illness. I was 19 years old at that time. I had a difficult childhood which involved being beaten and psychologically abused, poverty, having my mom in a psychiatric hospital and jail due to her mental illness, bullying, my parents' divorce, and as a teenager I resorted to anorexia nervosa and self-harming to cope. When my mother committed suicide, it was more than I could endure, and I started to even think about suicide myself. I was looking for God, trying to find answers and comfort, but the pain was extreme. The love I had for my mom was incredibly deep, so her death was incredibly hard for me. One night I went to bed, and I suppose that I woke up, but with my soul only. To express it the best I can, I looked to my right, and I saw an incredibly beautiful bright light that made me feel better and better as I looked at it. The light didn't come towards me, neither did I move towards it. I just realized it had always been there, the same way as when you lose your keys, but they are right in front of you, and you finally realize they were there. I thought to myself, how could I have not seen it for so long? Because obviously, it was always there. Then I realized the light was on my left, underneath me, in front of me, everywhere. The light then started to rise in me. I didn't have a body, but I had a sense of occupying a certain space, similar to that of my body. I also had a mental image of my body. The light rose higher and higher in me. By rising, I mean that it started to engulf me. I became one with the light. The more I became one with the light, the better I felt. It rose up to what my mental imagery envisioned as the equivalent of my hips. At that point, I started to be afraid of losing myself in the light. That is, of losing my individuality. As I felt this fear, the light gently dropped to the equivalent of my feet. I then realized that I could totally trust the light to not force anything on me. But when the light was at my feet, I didn't feel as good as when I was more wrapped in it. It then started rising again up to the equivalent of my neck, the level at which I felt comfortable. At that point, I started having a very blurry memory of having lived a life on Earth. It was incredibly blurry, much like when you wake up and you know you had a dream, but can't manage to remember what it was. I felt puzzled because I knew the only thing that existed was the light, and I wondered how it was possible that I had lived anything else but the light. As I felt the questioning in my being in front of me, I would say the equivalent of 40 meters, the light dropped, unraveling to reveal a beautiful garden with flowers, butterflies, bushes. It was not a picture, nor a hologram. I knew it was a real place, and had I wanted to, I could have floated in it. I didn't do it though, because I had a sense that if I moved further from where I was, I could not go back. I never thought in terms of death, or not going back to my earthly life. I only thought in terms of losing my identity personality. But seeing this garden gave me the answer to my question. I realized that the light contained everything, including my life on Earth. Therefore, it made sense that there was only the light, yet that I had memories of a life. The instant I understood this, the light wrapped up the garden, and I only saw the light again. I knew it was eternity and that it was incredibly vast, that I could float for eternity to extreme distances, and that it would be exactly the same light. I decided to not move further, again, because I wanted to keep my sense of identity. After that, I don't remember anything. I just woke up in my bed, not really knowing where I was for a couple of minutes. I then acknowledged the incredible experience that I just had and regretted my decision to not move further in the light. Besides showing me its peace and incredible beauty, the main message that I got from my experience with the light is that we are in it right now, which is consistent with when Jesus said that the kingdom of God is among us. I always feel home now. The light is everywhere. I could be at the other edge of the universe, and I would still be in my home, in our magnificent eternal kingdom. What I understood from my experience is that when we die, we don't go anywhere. Our conscious awareness stops focusing on the physical spot of the universe that is our body. It can expand in the whole light, or it can focus on anything it wants or creates, such as the garden I saw. What I understood in the light is that it is everything. By being everything, it's as if it was nothing in particular. The way to generate creations is to not look at certain aspects of the light. The best analogy I have is that of sculpture. In high school, in my art class, we had to do snow sculpting. The teacher gave us blocks of snow and told us that our sculpture was already in it. We only had to unravel it. We don't add snow to sculpt. We cut out the part of the whole block of snow that is not our sculpture. It's the same thing with the light and creation. My education is in experimental medicine. Therefore, I always try to understand things from a science perspective. Perhaps the light that permeates everything, and which to me I know is everywhere, perhaps it is the dark energy that permeates the whole universe. Who knows? But one thing I know is that we are in it right now, and that it is ultimately the only thing that exists. Everything and everyone is part of it. My experience of the light cured my depression and all my suffering. I understand now how every experience of my life was a blessing and how it allowed me a variety of experiences and to grow. I have no fear of death, nor a fear of when I will die. I know we always choose if we want to come back. If our body is so damaged that it can no longer take our soul, we will just go back to a spot of the universe where it is healthy enough, which is probably a parallel reality according to quantum physics. Again, I believe the light contains every possibility, every timeline, every location. So we only die and stay dead when we want to. My only fear is the way I will die. I only shared this experience with my spouse because since I was not near death by any means when it occurred 11 years ago, I thought nobody would take it seriously. But I think it makes no difference since ultimately there is no death, just a shift in the spot in the universe our consciousness is focused on, expanded into everything. Ultimately, we all are already in eternity, in heaven, in the light, and it is the ultimate home. Love to everyone. Note from Beyond Death. I wanted to share this one because it sways from what we typically get in a near-death experience, and I am not sure how I personally feel about this one. It seems more like an out-of-body experience than an NDE to me, but I will let the viewer decide. I have included a link to the original post in the description for those that wish to see it. Since it was posted anonymously on Ian's, I can offer no more information. Until next time, stay blessed.